So it's very important to the students who are taking 1 and 2 uh, take that like a transitional part. So that is the foundation of the language. So all the skills that they require, the grammar part is going to be covered in Spanish 1, 2, and 3. So then we have the other branch that is the native speakers. So for native speakers, we offer Español 1, Español 2, and AP. So Español 1 is going to be for the students who are gonna take in the sophomore year. So we don't have the students to take in the Español 1 in the freshman year because we need the students to take in the regular classes or the classes that they require, and also to establish like some habits in the school and be some more mature to take the language seriously. So after the students taking in the sophomore year Español 1, junior Español 2, so the students are going to be able to take in the AP. So what is the good thing for this? Like everyone, freshman, sophomore year, so native speakers, non-native speakers can take in the AP. So this is my mission here, and so I teach Spanish 1, Spanish 2. So I create the foundation. So this is like the dough, the pizza dough. So I preparing them in order to they jump to the oven, okay, to take in the other the other level of Spanish. So this is just an expression in order to the students to understand this. It's very amazing that we have opportunity to have an students, non-native speakers, African American students who are taking the AP in Spanish. So this is for everyone. And this is we have students who are sometimes shy, doesn't like to talk too much, but they take it. They love it. So and they want to become a bilingual because they know the opportunity they have it. So one of my suggestions or advice for my upcoming students here in Holy Trinity is to homework. Okay, so we don't have any homework in Holy Trinity. I'm just kidding. No, we have a homework, of course. We have a homework. This is the way that we can master some things, right? So we have a homework. But one of my recommendations, the philosophy of Holy Trinity is doing your homework on time, well done, and responsible. If you have the habit to do that, that is going to be easy in your first year of Holy Trinity. And make a mistakes. It's normal make a mistakes, but learn from your mistakes. So lastly, I just want to mention that I'm also responsible for the Hispanic Club Raíces. The Raíces mean root. So we're doing so many activities, and we have a organization that we help to provide some items that they require. So we help the immigrant men that just came to United States. Thank you so much for watching us. So I really appreciate it. And I would like to now we listen to the next panel, Mr. Cook. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Chu. I'm Mr. Cook. I am the chair of the Social Studies Department. I teach a whole bunch of classes, World Geography to freshmen, World History and Honors World History to sophomores, a dual credit US History class for juniors, and a couple of electives. I'm also teaching currently the Holocaust elective class. And that kind of follows the structure of our social studies department. In order to graduate, you need to have 3 years of social studies credits, although most freshmen are in the geography class, so they'll end up with 4 years total of social studies. So any freshman that is in a social studies class is in geography. As sophomores, you will have a choice of world history and honors world history. The biggest difference between those classes is the honors students have the choice of taking the AP test as kind of an AP warm-up to see if they want to continue in that track. Then your junior year, there's a whole bunch of US history options. Excuse me. We have a standard US history class, an honors US history class, and then the dual credit honors class, which is partnered with St. Benedictine University. And so those students can earn college credit. Senior year, you have a choice of two classes. One is the standard government and law class, and the other is an advanced placement US government and politics class. Our department also has a whole lot of electives. There is an African, Asian, and Latin American Today course that focuses on modern issues affecting those three regions. As mentioned, there's a Holocaust class that I teach. We also have a psychology and a psychology honors elective course. Lastly, we have an economics and an honors economics course. So for people that are really into social studies, for such a small school, we have among the most options possible. The electives are open to juniors and seniors. So depending on a student's schedule, they could have double social studies classes if they want that. Some ideas that I was thinking of for students as they come in to succeed in social studies. The first one is social studies tends to have a lot of reading, primary sources, secondary sources. And when it comes to reading, you need to really be good at understanding the main idea, extracting the most information as possible. So being a strong reader, but also a strong note taker as you read it. So when you come to class the next day for a discussion of what's the main idea of this document, you're ready to go. The other thing I was thinking of is a little later in your high school career, we start to give longer and longer term projects where you might get an essay assigned at the beginning of a month with it due at the end of the month. And we as teachers will check in on you, but we're kind of assuming you're using your time to be working on your paper. And you see that a lot in the dual credit classes and the AP classes. So time management, which is a skill, you got to practice that. So as freshmen, we try to get your time management skills a little bit stronger. I'm now going to introduce the head of our religion department, Sister Philia. Please take it away.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Holy Trinity. We are HD. Good to have you here today. My name is Sister Philia Okonkwo. I belong to Mercy Sisters Congregation, Daughters of Mary, Mother of Mercy. And I'm a teacher in religion department at Holy Trinity High School, and I'm the chair of religion department. The classes we have, I teach, currently I teach the juniors church history and morality. And the seniors, I teach them vocation and spirituality. So the classes we have from the freshman class to the senior class. In the freshman class, we have what do you call it? Foundation of Faith. And then in the sophomore class, we have scripture, Old and New Testament, first and second term. And then first and second semester, sorry. And then in the junior class, we have, in the first semester, we have the church history. In the second semester, we have morality, Christian morality. In the senior class, we have a bunch of electives. Either you're taking, we have about 3 or 4 of them, but you can take 2. Either you take vocation and spirituality, or you take social justice, or you take, there's one more, world religion, or you take world religion. So when you're in the senior class, you have the opportunity to take the one that you choose. So, but in your freshman, sophomore, and junior, you take one class in the first semester and another class in the second semester. Ways to succeed in our department is very simple because it's not too difficult. It's just like reading the Bible and telling the story back to the teacher. So we use Chromebook We do group work and partner work. We try to merge you to work with some students so that you learn from other students. We also do projects, so you'll be exposed to doing projects. You do a lot of things in your Chromebook. We don't have a lot of stuff. I don't think we have students failing in my department. So most students are successful because they work with others. So it's just exposing you more to Christian life. And when you're in your last class, the senior class, we introduce you to vocation. Vocation gives you opportunity to choose what you want to do in life. I think we're successful in our department, and we will be happy to welcome you to Holy Trinity. It's a nice place to be. It's a home. Thank you. I'm introducing the next teacher, Ms. Rahman. Thank you.
Thank you, Sister Philia. Hi, my name is Ms. Rahman. I am a math teacher at Holy Trinity. This is my 4th year here. So this year I'm teaching just the geometry on honors geometry class because I did go part-time this year. But in the past, I've also taught computer applications at Holy Trinity as well as algebra. So I'm here to talk about the math department at Holy Trinity. So freshmen start off normally in algebra, and then they go on to geometry. So we have honors and regular level and at each grade level, so kids can pick which one suits them, along with recommendations from teachers. So most freshmen start off at algebra, and then we go on to geometry. After geometry, some students might go on to intermediate math. Some students go to algebra 2. And then senior year, they can pick of 3 classes. So they have the choice of pre-calc, discrete math, or AP calculus. So one of the things that Holy Trinity does offer is freshmen can place out of algebra if they choose to. So over the summer, we have a placement test that they can take. So if they've already taken algebra in 8th grade or at a summer program, they're able to take the placement test. They can place out of algebra and then be placed into geometry, giving them kind of a legs up to taking AP calculus by their senior year. So I think some of the things that can make a student really successful at HT in the math program is being a good note taker. So making sure that they know how to take organized notes all in one notebook. It's always come in handy because they always have something to look back to from the lesson. I think a big thing is making sure they're not afraid to ask questions. So one of the best things about Holy Trinity is there's so many opportunities to go for help. So almost every teacher is available either before school or after school. We have the RLC department that's open for students to go and seek help there. And I always have prior students come back to me to ask for help in algebra 2 or pre-calc or discrete math. So all the math teachers at HT are so open to helping students who aren't even their own. So honestly, kids can go find any math teacher and we're always open to helping. So that's everything about our math program. I'm gonna go ahead and introduce you to our lovely English teacher, Miss Sino.
Thank you, Faisa. Good evening, everybody. My name is Mrs. Jordan Zeno Ortiz. I teach in the English department here at Holy Trinity, and this is my 8th year at HT. I teach all of the sophomore English, both the regular and the honors level. And then throughout the day, I teach a couple electives in the English department as well, speech and communication studies, as well as a film analysis course. Your student will take all 4 years of English at Holy Trinity, anywhere in the state of Illinois, 4 years of English class. Your first 2 years, freshman English and sophomore English, are your foundations classes. So they are a survey class. We read literature from the United States and also from all over the world. At both of those levels, freshman and sophomore English, there's both the regular college prep level and the honors level as well. By the time you get to junior and senior English, the curriculum gets a little bit more specialized, than the foundations have already been set. Junior English is American Lit, and senior English is Brit Lit, British Literature. We also have 2 AP options in our department. Starting with junior year, there's the option to take regular honors AP. So your student can have 3 options when they get to both junior and senior year. Senior year as well, they have the option to take AP Literature, while junior year is AP Language. A focus of our department is definitely our writing program. We know that no matter where your student wants to end up after they graduate from high school, they're going to need to know how to write. So our students begin in sophomore year and then following junior, senior year with their research paper. We spend a lot of time going through this process, starting in sophomore year, knowing that some of our students have had to write official research essays like this before, and some of our students have never had to do that. So starting in my class sophomore year, regular and honors level, it's a very step-by-step process to make sure we have the toolbox set. And then by junior year, it's a little bit more hands-off. And by senior year, it's expected that our students are writing papers that would be comparable to a college level entrance classroom. We also have some electives in the English department. We have creative writing, we have a publications class, we have a speech class, like I had mentioned, and a film analysis class as well that we encourage our students to explore. In addition to being the English teacher at Holy Trinity, I'm also the student activities director. So I wanted to give a quick plug for our student clubs and activities before I pass it along. We have a very vibrant after school community at Holy Trinity. We know that the bell rings at 3 o'clock, but the building stays very alive well into the evening. We have over 30 student organizations that are all student led. Many of these clubs were started by students themselves that arrived at Holy Trinity, had a specific interest, and decided that they wanted to get some friends and peers together to start that club all by themselves. So we love our clubs, we love our activities, and there are very few students that graduate from HT having not participated in any clubs at all. Many of our students are both scholars as well as club members, as well as athletes. So I would like to pass it over to Mr. Moore. He is our athletic director, and he'll talk a little bit more about our sports program.
Thank you, Ms. Zeno. How's everyone doing? My name is Taylor Moore. I'm the athletic director here at Holy Trinity. It's a pleasure being here. This is actually my first year here, so I'm excited to get started, get used to putting my fingerprints on the athletic program. The sports we offer here at Holy Trinity, we have boys and girls basketball, we have boys and girls soccer, we have boys and girls volleyball, we have boys baseball, we have girls softball, girls crew. We also have cross country, track and field, and flag football. Here at Holy Trinity, we live by the term where, although this is a small school by design, you have the big resources of a bigger school. So, you don't have to worry about trying to compete with hundreds of other students for one specific spot on a team, where if you come to Holy Trinity, you are more likely to succeed in a better opportunity at making it. Doesn't mean that we do not take sports here very serious here at HT. We believe in competing in everything that we do, academics, athletics, everything. I also stress to the students that you are a student athlete, meaning that you are a student first, athlete second. In order to participate in any sports, you must acquire the HT needs to be on the field or the court or whatever that sport may need. We require a 2.0, 2.5 GPA sometimes in certain circumstances, depending on the student's needs to play in the sport. Right now, we are kind of in a rebuilding period with our basketball team. Our girls and boys volleyball teams are pretty competitive every year. We have a very good baseball team. They just won regionals last year, I believe. And we're just looking forward to the future that HT can provide athletically and academically. Now I will pass it back over to Mr. Parker.
Well, thank you guys so much. Before we move on to our student panel, I did make a note in the chat, but I just wanted to remind all the families that with the invitation to be part of our information session, we also sent you a copy of a crossword puzzle that has a bunch of trivia questions that you would find the answer in this presentation this evening, or you can also go on our website. So hopefully you have a chance to print it out and you can write on the crossword puzzle. And then the instructions on the crossword puzzle sheet says when you finish the puzzle to email it to me. We will give you up to a half hour at the end of our session. So for example, if we end at 6:10, you will have until 6:40 to email that to me. And then we'll have some prizes that we'll be able to send you from HT. So I wanted to make sure that I mentioned that. Also, just reminding, especially families who may have come in a little late, we will have opportunities for questions that you could give us in the chat. I do want to give an opportunity if anyone we just talked with our teachers. So if anyone has a question specific to our teachers or to our academic program, if you just take a minute to ask that question in the chat, I will be more than happy to relay that to the teachers. If you don't worry about it, because we will have another opportunity to ask questions toward the end of the session. But if you have a burning question right now related directly to academics, if you could just ask the question in the chat, then we can get the answer. And chances are, if you ask the question, there might be another student or parent that has the same question. So, don't be shy to ask a question. So we'll take about 30 seconds to see if we have any questions. And we already have a question. Look at that. All right. Does HT offer other foreign language classes? I know Ms. Chu mentioned about some of the classes, but Ms. Chu, if you could just remind us of the language classes.
Yeah, sure. It's going to be my pleasure. So we at Holy Trinity, we offer like two different languages, Latin and Spanish. So we offer Latin 1, 2, and 3. And we offer two different levels of Spanish for native speakers and non-native speakers. So native speakers, non-native speakers is going to be Spanish 1 and 2 and 3. And the Spanish native speaker is going to be Español 1, Español 2, and AP. And unfortunately, we don't have another language. So we offer just two languages, and the students require 2 credits of that language. Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. There is a note that that some of the families did not get the puzzle attachment. What I will do is at the end of our session, because I won't have a chance right now, but at the end of our session, I will send that to you. I think there's 1 or 2 of you who registered in the last day or so. I'll get that to you, and I promise it'll be very easy to complete. Just pay attention to our session, and then you will also be able to go to our website to finish that within the half-hour period and still send it to us. So sorry that you didn't get it, but we'll make sure that that you do get it. Okay, so we have now our student panel. We have 2 students. We have a junior and a senior. I will allow them to introduce themselves. And like the teachers, they will talk about their experience at Holy Trinity, what things they're involved in outside the classroom, and then maybe some things that they can offer as suggestions to transition into Holy Trinity, and maybe also talk a little bit about what brought them to Holy Trinity. So we're going to start with Samuel Barrera.
Hi, everyone. I hope everyone's having a great day. Like Mr. Parker said, my name is Samuel Barrera, and I am a current senior here at Holy Trinity. And what really drew me to Holy Trinity was not only the generous amount of financial aid and scholarships awarded to the students, but also, like Mr. Parker said, the small classrooms and the close-knit community. I think this is really important in all the years, but also very important senior year, because it will give teachers a chance to get to know you. And by your senior year, they'll they'll be able to write excellent recommendations for when you're applying to colleges. And also, it's important for the counselors to know who you are. Just this year, our new counselor, Miss McMullen, she met with every senior student and went through them what the college process is, and if they had any questions, and what else we needed to, help start applying to these colleges. And I think that's really important here at Holy Trinity. Some of the things I'm involved in is Link Crew, Student Ambassador, and the elected Secretary of National Honor Society. Outside of Holy Trinity, I do a lot of volunteer work at my church. I also work as a secretary at my church. Um, so one of the things that will be really helpful for students transitioning into high school is to take advantage of all the clubs that we offer. I feel like this would help introduce these freshmen to new students and new teachers and really get a feel of the new environment. And I think that'll really help them perform better academically. At least it did for me, because I felt like this was really a new family and I felt really comfortable, and it really reflected that in my grades. So now I'd like to hand it over to Yari Ortiz.
Hello, everyone. My name is Yari. I am currently a junior at Holy Trinity. I've been attending here since my freshman year. Thank you for coming and joining us. So I'll first start off with what I'm involved with. So I'm in our student governments, student ambassador, softball. I've previously been in other clubs, but that is currently what I'm in right now. There's a lot with what drew me into Holy Trinity, honestly, but I'll try and summarize it. One was the diversity. HC is extremely diverse, and that is something that I feel like is so important. Um, in a school, it really feels like a second home because everyone knows you. Compared to like bigger schools, you're not just a number. Um, and like we've said before, teachers know students, students know teachers. So that's like the good thing about going to a small school. Uh, I also wanted to get closer to my faith, which is why I also chose Holy Trinity because we have things, opportunities, for example, like our retreats where we could really get into our faith, but also in um, with the different religion courses in which Holy Trinity offers as well. The athletics as well was another thing that drew me in, and any advice that I would have is probably please take advantage of the resources that Holy Trinity offers. For example, like our tutors, the RLC, they love teaching and helping us, and that's something that I feel like hopefully I wish was more common, but I think it's really good at HT. And be social. The good thing is we have our link crew, which is basically as a freshman you are put into like groups with juniors and seniors, I believe. And you go on like field trips and you get to know people. So just be social, just so you can have maybe people to vent to. Again, we also have an amazing counseling group, but just so you can feel more comfortable at HC, because I promise you, having your student there will be a second home to them.
Well, thanks everybody. We did have a question. It's it's a Spanish question. The question is that this particular parent is interested in Spanish 1 for their student. After completing Spanish 1, can a student expect to be able to speak to a native Spanish speaker that does not know English?
Okay, so I'm going to say it like it depends. It depends of the student. So we offer the tools in the school, so in the classroom. So we have the variety of strategies that the students can take advantage of that. But I'm gonna say it like the Spanish one, after Spanish one is so more like a student understand what somebody else is saying. So sometimes, especially now with this situation, it's hard for a student to talk. So what is the skill that we have to develop? We have the variety of things that we can use in order to the student develop that one. But I want to say like it depends. If the student really like the language, if the student really are engaged and uh, following all the process and develop the variety of skills, of course the student is going to be able to maybe understand at the beginning, maybe Spanish 2 after Spanish 2, or in Spanish 2 we're starting to talking some more in the language, we're using some more the language. So we're trying to expose the student as much as we can since the beginning of the class. But I'm going to say that it depends. It depends.
Well, thank you, Ms. Chu. Does anyone else, any of our families or even students, have any questions for the teachers, for our students, or even athletics? There is a parent that asked about the tuition, but I'm going to talk about that in just a moment as we talk about the admissions process. So I will answer that question, so I'm not forgetting about you. But if anyone does have a question for any of our teachers or students, this will be a good time to ask that question. So if a question does come up, just put it up in the chat and I'll interrupt myself. As we talk about the admissions process, if any of the panelists need to take a video break, this would be a good time. And then just to return back to us when we do the 360 tour, which is after my presentation for admissions. Do we have a track team? Mr. Moore?
Yes, we do have a track team. We have a track team and we have a cross country team, both co-ed.
Okay. For those who are listening, it probably is the fact that the person who asked the question understands track versus like cross country. Could you briefly tell all of our families the difference between track and cross country?
So cross country is basically like long distance running. It's like relay running with you and other members of the team. Somewhat, like I said, it's distance running. Track is actually a series of events. So you have long jump, you have sprints, you have relays, you have shot put. It's a lot of different events that a lot of athletes love to partake in, to test your skills out, and different variety of athletic movements that you might not necessarily try on an everyday basis. So I would recommend, especially if you love athletics, if you like to run and, be in good shape, I definitely recommend track and cross country. I myself, I don't like running that much, so I would probably do track, but cross country, distance running, if you have stamina and you like to run for miles on miles, that's more so cross country. But if you're a sprinter, 40-yard dash, 60-yard dash, 100-yard dash, that's track. Yeah, so.
And actually that helped me. So it was sort of a selfish question. But yes, hopefully that helped the family to know about the track. Now that Ms. Zeno Ortiz is back, we can ask the question. I was going to ask it later when you return, but the question is there a debate team?
Thank you for that one. Our debate team has been on and off over the years. It depends on student interest, but we definitely do always have that as an option, especially if there are students that are passionate and willing to get that started. It's been kind of on and off, whether it was a competitive year. Definitely within the past 5 years, if we've had student interest, we did have teams that would go out and compete in debate. This year, a couple of seniors that were interested in having some space to talk about, especially current events and politics. They started a new club called Gen Z Voices on the Issues, where I know they are meeting, I think weekly or bi-weekly right now, virtually, to discuss and debate current events.
Well, thank you, Ms. Zeno. I think this next question could be for Ms. Rahman. Are there any computer tech classes?
Yes, we do have computer tech. So all freshmen are required to take computer application. So that's really them getting to know their Chromebooks and the different types of programs that they'll kind of be using throughout their HT career. So certain students are also placed in our BSTEM program. So that stands for business, science, tech, engineering, and math. So those students will be put in BSTEM 1 and go on to be a STEM 2. And so that goes into our business program. So they eventually go on to be students in NIFTY. So yes, we do have business tech class for seniors and juniors who won't have room to take an elective. We also have robotics for them.
Well, thank you. And I think, Mr. Cook, I think you mentioned this in your presentation. So I was going to ask you this question. Is tutoring available?
It is, yeah. There's informal tutoring just with your teacher or a teacher you've worked with in the past. I know the math department does that a lot. But we also have this program called the RLC, the Resource Learning Center. There is full-time staff tutoring down there that you can take advantage of on an optional basis. But then for some students that very clearly need it, it's a little bit more of a like, get down there. They need to help you out, and becomes abundantly clear. And we've also had other academic supports after school or through homeroom that obviously have been a little disrupted with COVID, but at some point I would assume those would also come back. So there's a lot of tutoring options.
All right, thank you, Mr. Cook. This is a two-part question. I'm going to answer part of it, and the other part I'm going to ask Ms. Rahman to take. The question, the part that I'm going to have is, can you work during the school day, and does the school have jobs? The answer is yes and no. So we do not have jobs during the week. There are some high schools here in Chicago that, as part of their school program, you go to school for 4 days and then you go to work 1 day. Holy Trinity does not have that opportunity. However, we do have opportunities where students can work either on the weekends or especially during the summer. And a lot of that is helped through our counseling center. There are a lot of opportunities for work at some of the universities that we are in touch with. And also we have an organization called Friends for a Future. And basically it's mostly over the summer, but we connect our students with businesses downtown. And over the summer, they would spend the summer there learning about that particular area of business and also working for a little bit of income. The other part of the question is, do we have coding? So if you could answer that, that would be awesome.
So we do, so for freshmen, there is no coding. We did actually just start AP Computer Science this year. And that's a course, so students can take that junior and senior year. So that is a course where they can learn how to code.
Okay. So if there aren't any other questions at this point, it's really, we're going to do sort of two more things here. We're going to talk about what the application process for Holy Trinity looks like. And then we're going to actually take a tour. We're going to walk through the halls together of Holy Trinity High School. So again, sorry for the, for the false hope panelists, but I think now you can actually take a video break if you want. I promise not to ask any questions of you until you return. So what is the application process? Here at Holy Trinity, traditionally, the process has started with the entrance exam. And the entrance exam, which for us at Holy Trinity is on December 5th, which is a Saturday morning. Families come, students come for the test, and that really starts off your application, et cetera. This year, what we're doing is that we are actually opening up our applications early. One of the things that you will get as a follow-up to this session is going to be an email that talks about what that process is. And actually, the entire process you can complete with forms that we have available online. So you can download forms. Any family that has any challenges with downloading forms or printing things, they can always call, our office. My information is on every email that I send. So feel free to call, stop by the school, and we can make sure that you get all the information that you need. But basically, there's three parts to the admissions process. One is the actual application, which is very simple, basic information. And then with that, we ask you for copies of your full 6th grade, your full 7th grade, and at least the first quarter or the first 2 quarters or first semester of your 8th grade year. Now this year, just to minimize, normally what we do is when you come for testing, we would ask you to submit those information to us at that time. This year, we're going to be asking for those that sign up for the December 5th test that you send this information to us before the test. That would just minimize a lot of paper exchanging, just so we're a little more safer, in this environment. And also, it would be something that you already have with us, and you don't have to worry about carrying it along with you or it getting lost during the test. So part of the information that we'll send to you will be how to sign up for the December 5th entrance exam, which is required to be a freshman. So for the report card, for example, we're not looking for students necessarily who have all A's, even though we do have many freshmen who come in who are at the top of their class. But really, the students who will do well at Holy Trinity are those students who are doing well now, meaning that you are at least at grade level in your current 8th grade year, which means that in your major subjects, math, English, social studies, and science, you have at least a C or above. That's really our criteria. A C or above tells us that you understand the majority or all of the information that you are now receiving in your regular class, and you don't need any extra assistance once you come to Holy Trinity. Now, there are going to be some students who have individualized educational plans or IEPs. We do have students in our building who have IEPs, and we will accept that. It's something that you will submit along with the application. And depending on what accommodations there are, or maybe how much assistance a particular student may need to be successful, we do have many resources at Holy Trinity to help even those IEP students who need a little more help, a little more assistance. We have opportunities for them to be successful. So one thing that we don't have is that we don't have a special education department. So we don't have an opportunity for a student to have an individual teacher throughout the day, or even have a space where there's a dedicated teacher to work with them through different subjects. So with that limitation, we are looking for those students who have individualized education plans who can work with their peers in class, but maybe in between classes or before or after school, just may need to check in with our full-time tutor just to make sure that they're understanding everything that they did during the day. We're also going to ask for your 7th grade test scores. And really all we're looking for, again, just like the grades, we just want to make sure that you are on grade level as you move into freshman year here at Holy Trinity, because we don't want you to come here and have to struggle because the work is too challenging for you or these kind of things. We want it where, sure, we want you to be challenged, and there's a lot of challenge at Holy Trinity, as you heard from the teachers, but we don't want you to have to struggle. We want you to reach a little bit. There's a lot of support here. So we are looking for those test scores where you're on grade level, which is the same thing that we're looking for when we give you the exam in December, is we're looking to make sure that you have grasped a lot of the academic information that you need in math and English primarily, so that you can move into freshman class, very easily. So you submit all the information, you come for the test. This year, we're going to be offering the test at Holy Trinity, both in person and also online at home. So we're going to be offering both of those. And when you register for the placement test, or the placement test is different, so I don't want to use the wrong language. When you register for the entrance exam, one of the questions we're going to ask you is whether or not you want to take the exam at Holy Trinity in person or at home. We at Holy Trinity, we're offering both because we want you to have both options in case you are not comfortable yet coming into the building. But we also want to make sure that you understand that the test at home, we provide to you. We'll give you the link. We'll do all those things. But you're taking the test at the same time as someone in person. So if you're at home, the test at Holy Trinity starts at 8 o'clock. So when you're at home on December 5th, you're also starting the test at 8 o'clock. The test is roughly about 3.5 hours, 3 hours and 40 minutes with a couple of breaks in between. So you also, if you're going to do it at home, which again is fine, you want to make sure that you're in a space at home where you can have a continuous sort of undistracting space where you could focus for 3.5 hours. We will have all the protocols in place if you're in the building. So we will have only 10 students in a classroom. Our classrooms are very large. You'll see that in our tour. So we're only going to have 10 students in the room. And we're also going to make sure that everyone's wearing a mask. And we have people employed in our building who throughout the day are always sanitizing different parts of the common areas. So we want to reassure you that if you do choose to be in person, we do follow those same protocols that the CDC, the Center for Disease Control, and also the state recommends. And obviously, we're also going to be requiring both visiting students and also our staff will be wearing masks throughout the time. So that's one of the things that will also be in the email that I send as a follow-up is how to sign up for the test. Once you've done that, one of the things we're going to try to do, which we did a little bit of this fall, but because of the situation, we weren't able to do it as much, but we may be able to do some visits during the spring where you can come to Holy Trinity for a day and shadow with someone like Samuel Barrera or Yari Ortiz. So where you can go to classes, you can see their teachers, see how they teach. You can walk the halls, you can see other classmates. You could go to our cafeteria for lunch, which always is a highlight of an 8th grader's visit to Holy Trinity, because our lunches is very different than elementary school, where typically in elementary school, at least when I went to elementary school, it was a warmed up hot pack and a cold pack that had some salad that they know I wasn't going to eat. So at Holy Trinity, we cook everything from scratch every day. We don't send out for stuff. We don't reheat stuff. We don't microwave stuff. Everything is prepared from scratch. And it's healthy without being, let's say it's nutritious without being super healthy, because we are serving students and we hide vegetables and stuff. And, we don't put a lot of salt and grease and things like that. So, but it's very good. So then sometime in February, we typically will let families know when they're accepted. And then we move on from there with registration. But one of the questions that I definitely want to get to is what is the tuition for Holy Trinity? And really the other question is, how can I afford it? So Holy Trinity right now, we're in the midst of determining what next year's tuition is going to be. But right now, but I can promise you it's going to be under $10,000. Right now, our current tuition is just over $9,000 per year. And if you think that sounds like a lot, as you go around and check in Chicago, other private schools, you will find that Holy Trinity is the most reasonable Catholic private high school in Chicago. You will come across high schools that have tuitions in the high double digits. You'll have $15,000, $25,000. There are a couple of schools here in the city that are $30,000 a year for high school. So when you think about 9,000, $9,200, you put that in perspective and we're not that bad. But one of the things that I do want to tell you is that based on your students' 8th grade grades and the test they take with us in December, your student could qualify for scholarships from Holy Trinity. Now, you probably heard of other high school scholarships and you're probably involved in them. Things like Daniel Murphy Scholarship Fund, HFS Chicago Scholars, HighSight. These are some of the bigger scholarship names here in Chicago. But Holy Trinity, we have our own scholarships that we give to our students who have been accepted already to Holy Trinity. And a lot of those scholarships, they're 4-year scholarships, so you don't have to reapply after the first year. There might be some requirements to keep it, but really you don't have to reapply. But really it's about rewarding those students who are doing well already. So you could have a scholarship that could be 50% of the tuition up to 70%. And there's even one scholarship that is 95% of the tuition each year that your family would not have to pay for because of the work that you're already doing. We're also partners with an organization called PEAK, which is the partnership to educate and advance kids. They work only with Holy Trinity families, and they pay 95% of the tuition and the family pays the other 5%. And they have some very nice programming outside the classroom of Holy Trinity to help your student to be successful throughout their years with us. Aside from that, we also have financial aid. Basically, if the program, if the tuition is $9,000, let's say, and the family can only afford half of that, then we work with the family through financial aid and we try to bridge that gap for you. So we're going to ask you to fill out a financial aid form. We are going to ask for proof of income of the household, just to make sure that the need is a true need. So we do ask that you show proof of that. But everybody gets assistance who asks for it, as long as you can prove that you are in need of it. Right now, we have, again, 345 students right now. And I'd say about 90% of the students have some form of financial aid or scholarship. It may even be closer to 92, 93%. The average tuition after scholarships and financial aid of the average family at Holy Trinity is right around $4,000. We usually take that number and we divide it into 10 parts, so you pay over 10 months. So we want to make it affordable for you. If you want to be part of Holy Trinity and it's a good fit for your student and for the family, then we're going to do whatever we can to make it a destination for you. So while I was speaking, there were a couple of questions. And again, you don't have to remember any of this process. This will be part of the email that I send to you, but I want to make sure you hear it so that you know that this is real and we want your student to be part of our freshman class. So a couple of questions. One sort of long question, so bear with me. It looks like that's a sports question, so this may be for you, Mr. Moore. I like football. I know that you have flag football. In the future, do you plan on having regular football? While flag football is not contact sport, are there actually real fundamental skill sets from flag football that can be learned for a potential to make a contact football maybe at a junior college level for a 4-year college? Woo! Somebody's thinking out there. Mr. Moore.
Well, yes. Well, just kind of a two-part question. So for the first part, yes, we are interested in starting a football team here at Holy Trinity. Me and Dr. Payton, the principal, actually spoke about that at the beginning of the year. That takes time, though. That's something that might not occur for another year or two, possibly. But to touch on your flag football statement, yes, flag football is just like tackle football. The only thing missing is tackling. You know, we have the same fundamentals. You have refs. You know, you have the same on-field members. I believe it's the same members. You have O linemen, D linemen. It teaches you strategy for football, gives you football knowledge. It also helps you as far as learning how to be a teammate. You know, I think a lot of times people miss over that. You know, being a teammate not only carries you on the sports field, but it carries you in real life because it teaches you how to work with others. And by playing flag football, if that's something that you are interested in, you will learn a lot about football, but you'll also learn a lot about team camaraderie and, you know, everything that comes with being a part of a football team.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. There was a question about a couple of families asked about that they had already registered for the entrance exam and paid. You should have got a receipt from the payment, so that proves that you paid. I was waiting to collect a number of registrations before I sent out confirmation. So in the next day or so, because I think we have enough already to at least make a group of reservation confirmation. So you should be getting that in the next day or so. But do know, and I know your student in particular, that they're on the list. So, you know, don't worry, you'll be getting the confirmation soon. So sorry about that. We do offer clubs for students. We did talk about that a little earlier. If you go to our website and go to Student Life, there's a list of all of our clubs. And every student from freshman to senior, you don't have to wait till, you know, you're upperclassman to be part of a club. You could be part of a club at any point in your time at Holy Trinity. Okay, one other question was, can students only take one Catholic school exam? And the answer is yes. So all of the Catholic high schools, we all actually offer the same entrance exam, which is the HSPT, which is the high school placement test. So one of the reasons that you only take it at one school is because you're going to be taking the same exam. If you're unsure of, let's say you have more than one Catholic school choice, like Holy Trinity is your top choice, obviously. But then maybe there's another, choice that your parents want you to look at. Really, the place that you want to take the exam is going to be your number one place. So if Holy Trinity is number one, you want to test at Holy Trinity. If there's a different school that's that number one choice, you want to test there. So let's say you test at your number one spot, like Holy Trinity, and you change your mind, like after you take the exam. It gets a little complicated because you would have to ask the school that you tested at to give a copy of your scores to the school that you now want to apply to. So it would be up to the school and how quickly or how slowly they do that process. The other thing is that sometimes a high school, if you're not accepted to their school, they may offer you the opportunity if you want your scores sent to a different school. So there's a couple of different ways that you can switch after you take the initial exam, but you really want to take the Catholic high school exam at your number one choice. Now you can take a Catholic high school exam and a selective enrollment exam. You can take those because those are two different school systems and two different tests. But within the Catholic school system, you can only take the test at one place. Let's see. Another question. Would you expect there to be e-learning for the freshmen? Yeah, that's a good question. We're hoping the answer is no, because we're talking about almost a year from now that you'll be coming as a freshman. There are some very positive things that are coming together. We're in a bit of a tailspin right now, but there are some positive things that are on the horizon as far as getting the state, the city, the country back together on a track of being successful. And I think that could happen probably by the summer. The spring, we'll probably be doing still e-learning, both you at your school and us at Holy Trinity. But Holy Trinity is doing a hybrid program system, so we'll probably be back to that in the spring. But I'm hoping by your freshman year, we're back to 100% in the building. And the only requirement is that most schools will probably require people to have a vaccination for the coronavirus. But that's a hard question. I'm glad you asked it, but that's a hard question to answer. Great questions, families. Any other questions? Because one of the things I want to do is I want to do just a tour of our building. And then after our tour, we're going to have an opportunity for last minute questions. And then we're going to end our time together. So I'm going to share my screen again. And as the video worked, which is pretty exciting, hopefully the 360 tour will work as well. So let me show you some great places at Holy Trinity. All right, so everyone should be able to see my screen at this point. Here is, so again, our main entrance is on Division. So Division, as you are looking right now, Division is behind you. I guess I could just go behind this. So there's the main entrance. On Division, there's usually a staff member. Sometimes it's Mr. Bob, the president. Sometimes it's a teacher that will greet you every morning. You come up the stairs, and one of the first things you will see our mission and our values. We obviously put it in the front because we want our students to see it. We want our staff to see it. We want our visitors to see it. We want our families to see it. So on the left side, this is really the real purpose of how and why Holy Trinity was founded by the Brothers of the Holy Cross in 1910. So you also probably heard me say 1927. So 1910, hint, that's actually an answer to a trivia question. But 1910 is when Holy Trinity was founded, but it wasn't in this building. It was actually down the street. So this building was built in 1927, and Holy Trinity moved here in 1927 as a school. But our mission is, true education is the formation of the hearts and the transforming values in each person. And we do that through the right side. We do that through our 5 values: excellence, discipline, zeal, integrity, and family. Hopefully you came early enough into our presentation where we showed the video of really many of those values being talked about and also being seen. Excellence, and these are all very simple. Zeal is probably the only one that may not be familiar to a lot of people. Zeal is just to have an excitement about learning, have an excitement about learning about the academic work, the excitement about learning a new skill, the excitement of learning new friends through socializing. So just that excitement of wanting to know more and want more. So let's see a couple of places. This is our first floor. We call this on the right side and left side, we call this our graduate alley, which is a name I sort of made up, but it makes sense because we have all the graduating classes of Holy Trinity High School from as early up here, 1949. So from 1949 all the way around the corner to our current class, we have all the graduating classes there. So if you ever visit Holy Trinity and you know someone who came here, there's a good chance that they're probably on the wall. One of the spaces that we like here on the first floor is our auditorium. It's a full-size auditorium. So even a school that's relatively small like we are, we have a full-size auditorium, and we use this a lot. We use it a lot for our community gatherings as a whole school. Once a month, at least once a month, we have Catholic Mass here in the auditorium. We also use this auditorium to celebrate any special events throughout the year. And this is also where the drama club, which is one of our student clubs, will perform their plays. They do 2 plays a year, one in the fall, one in the spring. This is also where, if you have band class, this is where you would have class. We also have a concert band who performs, the group of band members perform different things throughout the year for Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter, different events like that. So this is the first floor. Now, these are all original seats and everything. If you've ever sat in any of these seats, you know that this is from 1927. Another space that I think is important to see on the first floor is, someone had mentioned this, we talked about this for tutoring. This is the Resource Learning Center. This is the classroom side. We're going to see the other side in a second. There's a class called Strategies that some of the freshmen will take. Strategies is a class of executive functioning. That means that we are going to actually teach the freshmen that need a little bit of assimilation into the freshman year, where we're going to talk about things like how to take notes, how to ask questions in class, how to read something and actually take notes from the reading. So this is a class that really is about strategies. It's about strategies about how to be successful. Another part of the ROC is the computer lab. The computer lab is a great place because this is where the full-time tutor hangs out during the school day, and students come here all the time on their study hall day classes. They also can come here during lunch with permission. They can also come in before school and also after school. So there's a place where tutors can get together with you and go over some stuff. Every student in our building has a Chromebook as part of our school philosophy. But the one thing it doesn't have a print capability. So if you need to print something to turn into a teacher, the ROC, or the Resource Learning Center, is another place where you can come to print things out. I want to go down to, since we're close to there, I want to go down to the lower level. One of the places that will be important for you to know about is the counseling center. So this is the counseling center. It's on the lower level. And the reason it's on the lower level is because it's right near the cafeteria. So it's easy to pop in before lunch, after lunch, in the morning. So we purposely made it at the lower level. We have 2 full-time counselors. Each counselor takes care of 2 classes. So we have a freshman and junior counselor and a sophomore and senior counselor. And the nice thing about being a smaller school and having 2 full-time counselors is that the counselor, and I think Samuel Barrera mentioned this in his presentation, they really get a chance to know you from freshman year to senior year, when it's really important to be in touch with the counselor when you're going through all kinds of college things. One of the things that we do have here is that we have separate computers where the counselors can work with you on college stuff. You can research colleges from here. You can work on your personal statement with the counselor. You can fill out applications. So we have a separate computer lab for that. Another place here on the lower level is our cafeteria. Our cafeteria is obviously a great place for socializing. People come here for breakfast in the morning. You can come here as early as 7:10 for breakfast. The first bell rings at 7:50. 7:55 is when you should be making your way to class. 8 o'clock bell, you're late. So this is a great place to come in the morning. And students, what they do is they come in, they line up, and it's sort of like buffet style, here in the front. And then you have lunch. Lunch is about 25 minutes. And then you also have homeroom, which is also another 25 minutes. They go back to back. Let's see. On the second floor, we were just on the second floor. So going to the third floor, one of the interesting spaces here on the third floor is our computer lab. And the only reason I'm showing you that, even though every student has a Chromebook, is because this space is still used a lot, because it's a great place to go if you're working together as a group, like on a project. So some of the teachers talked about being successful in their class is getting used to working with other students. So this is a space that's used a lot for teachers and also for students to do collaborative work. So this is a nice place. On the third floor, have a bunch of different things on the third floor. Here, right above the computer lab, is one of our science laboratories. This is the physics lab, and we have 5 laboratories. We have a physical science lab, a robotics lab, physics lab, a biology lab, and also a chemistry lab. So I just decided to show you one of them. And one thing that I like about this setup is that normally what you do is you would have a class where, okay, we're going to do some instruction, we're going to do some learning, and then tomorrow we'll do some laboratory work. Here, the way the laboratories are set up is that we can do, half the class could be working on lecture and learning, and then during that same period, you could just go and start your experiment. So that's pretty cool. Also on the third floor is our gymnasium. We're the Tigers, so this is we call it the jungle. So we say, welcome to the jungle, and this is our home court for basketball, for volleyball. Sometimes baseball will practice here, and this place gets really loud when we have games. We support both students and staff, support all the teams, especially to have home games. This is also a space where we have our pep rallies. We have 2 pep rallies a year, one in the fall to kick off the fall sports, and then we also have one in the spring to celebrate the fall sports and also to kick off the spring sports. So all the students and staff come into this space at least twice a year. And if you want to, hear a loud place, come here during one of our pep rallies. One of the places that I almost forgot, and I'd like to mention this because a lot of you are interested in art, is that we have a very extensive art program and also a art space. Art is split into 2 pieces. One is ceramics, which is this side. So you literally can start from your own raw clay and you can form it, you can paint it. We have a kiln, which is an oven that cooks the clay and makes it into a ceramic. And we also have ceramic paint, which is acrylic paint. So if you know about those kind of things, we also have, I guess, clay wheels. I know there's an official name for it, but the wheel things that you make bowls and stuff. Then on the other side, there's more of the traditional art, which is the drawing, the painting. So that's on this side. And you can see some of the student artwork. This right here was actually pretty cool, where the kids drew their name in sign language as a way of just practicing using a fine tip pen. Then all kinds of different stuff. So I'm not an artist, but the teacher, Sister Jean Marie, has made a commitment that any student that comes into art can be an artist, no matter what you think you can or cannot do. So that's just a picture of Holy Trinity. This is our entire building. So we encourage you, one of the links that I will send you by email will be a link to this tour that you could take a tour on your own. So that was the tour. I know we zoomed through a bunch of stuff, but again, I wanted you to see that you could, not many places, unfortunately, you're not going to be able to go into, at this point, but there's not many places like Holy Trinity where you can literally get the experience of walking through the halls and to see the spaces and really feel what it's like to be in those spaces. So we're very proud of the fact that we can offer this to you. We're offering a moment of last questions because we literally have 3 minutes left, which is awesome because that means that we filled our time with discussion of Holy Trinity and also with your questions. Question is, are you familiar with any reliable transportation companies that are utilized for students getting to school and returning home? I don't know any names, but as we get closer and go through the process, I think we can, try to investigate that together. I do know, let me just close this. I do know that there are a couple of students who have hired a sort of pickup drop-off service. I don't know the names myself, but we can definitely investigate that if that's something that is of interest to you. One question, and I'm going to offer this. I want actually one student and also one teacher to answer this question. Is conduct a big thing to get into this school? So I'm going to start with, I was going to say Sister Ophelia, but she's still away for a minute. Is there a teacher that wants to take this? Mrs. Eno.
Sure. So I think by conduct, we're talking more about like discipline and conduct in the school. Obviously, at Holy Trinity, it is important that our students conduct themselves in ways that we would expect in a classroom. Our classroom and our family style at Holy Trinity is built on a feeling of mutual respect between peers, between teachers, between administrators. That being said, we understand that high school is a time of transition. It's a time of sometimes mistakes being made and things like that. So I would say that something that's always impressed me about Holy Trinity is that a lot of our discipline issues, when they do come up, they're not simply the job of the dean to kind of handle it and make the phone calls. It often turns into a kind of joint effort between families, students, teachers, if they were involved, and the counseling department as well with the dean. I can't speak personally to admissions as far as like discipline records and admissions and that process, Brian, but I can speak to once you're in the building.
Yes, thank you so much. Since you mentioned admissions, just letting you know about admissions, we are, we're not looking for, the perfect child that does everything right. But as Ms. Zeno says, we are looking for those students that understand when and where, meaning that if you are in school, you are conducting yourself as if you're in school. So that's something important that we are looking at. So, I mean, if you have, a moment where you made a mistake and you got a detention, but what we're looking for is not a one-time situation. We're looking more of, is this a continual thing? So if you have a detention or you get in trouble at school numerous times, that might be something for us to talk about. But really one-time things, unless it's like a suspension or expulsion, we usually don't take too much stock into it. Do any of either of the students want to address conduct at Holy Trinity? Just unmute yourself and just go ahead. I could also pick you. All right, well, Samuel was actually right in front of me. So Samuel.
Yeah, so when we do come into Holy Trinity, it's important that like all our students follow our Holy Cross values, which are excellence, discipline, integrity, zeal, and family. And I think all the student body and the teachers really do follow these values. And when one of us is not following them, I think it's important for us to bring that up one-on-one with the student. And I think that's really helpful for us to continue as this close-knit community.
Well, thank you. Well said. And the last question here is, and the answer is, the question is flag football co-ed? And the answer is yes. Mr. Moore, the athletic director, did mention that a little bit earlier. So just to respect the time of the panelists and also for the families attending, this ends our virtual admissions information session. Again, look out for the email from me probably tomorrow. That will be a follow-up of all these things. Again, I will resend the trivia puzzle to everybody just to make sure that I reach everybody. And again, we're ending right now at 6:35. So you will have until 7:05 to take a picture. Well, obviously complete it, take a picture and email to me so that we can send you out an Holy Trinity gift. I do want to thank our panelists, our teachers, our athletic director, and also our 2 students, all of whom had a school day today. So I definitely appreciate all of you spending extra time with us to help parents to decide whether or not Holy Trinity is the right place for their student. And I think if anything, we've given them some food to think about. We've given them some things to really be excited about. So hopefully many of these students who have asked names, who have asked questions, or just those who have been present, we may see their names again for the exam, on an application, in your classroom. So we're pretty excited. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for the attendees. All the attendees, you have my contact information, both email and phone. So please reach out with any questions. And I'm always happy to, to help you out. And when January starts up, please contact me for a family tour. That's definitely something that we can do in January. So thank you all very much. And that ends our time together. Thank you. Goodbye.